Hello. Welcome to day 2 of the human design training, and today we're talking about intuition. So my name is Sonia, which you probably know, and I am a coach and a human design expert, as well as a Kundalini yoga and meditation teacher. Recently it's been really coming through that I'm a spiritual teacher, really. So my intention is for this to be really fun and for all of us to receive energy from this training and really to help us more deeply connect to our intuition. So human design really changed my life and helped me build this life that I'm living today that I love, and and I want to help as many people out there as possible to create lives that they love. So that's why I'm here sharing this information. Actually, I'm just gonna check that I can see, hi Laura, that I can see the comments in the that I'm living today that I love. Okay, I have it up on my computer so I can see what's going on, and we'll dive right in. So as I mentioned, today we'll be talking about intuition, or it's called authority in the human design language. So it's the second most important thing to master about your design, and it's all about how to make the right decisions for yourself. So basically, authority represents your unique flavor of intuition. So this is obviously a basic overview. When I work with people, I obviously go more in depth and look at all of the elements in their charts to give them more specific guidance, because it really, as you'll see, it depends on what centers you have defined. So if you don't have your human design chart, you can go to mybodygraph.com, mybodygraph.com, and enter your date, time, and place of birth, and you'll get your chart. So, and you're looking for the authority piece. So anyway, if you have any questions throughout the training, or if you're watching the replay, pop them in the comments, and I'll answer them either during the training or after. So, so just a little intro. I have sacral authority, so for me it means I'm meant to make decisions with my gut. So basically I'm meant to follow my excitement, my desire, that expansive feeling in my body. So and it's been a journey for me too, of living, or of listening to my authority, my sacral authority, and distinguishing it really from the mind. And I also have a defined spleen, so I get, quick intuitive hits from the spleen, but my sacral always has the final say. And, I will go through the different authorities in order of hierarchy. So, the most important first, that has, kind of the final say, to the least. So human design in general teaches us to let go of the constant analysis of our minds, and teaches us to listen to our intuition by tuning into the wisdom of the body, because our bodies have a lot of wisdom, and we can access it by disconnecting from the chatter of the mind. So the mind in human design is meant to be turned outward to process the world, but the mind cannot predict things, and we want to cling to guarantees, and we're afraid of the unknown, so we try to figure out what will give us the best outcome, but the mind cannot predict that, and also the mind hence can limit us in terms of the things the mind can figure out. Like your body has this ancient wisdom. So anyway, so now I'll jump into the different types of authority. Again, it'll be in the hierarchical order. So, emotional authority is first in the hierarchy, but if you're any other authority other than emotional, I'll also talk about what that means. So if you have emotional authority, you have your own emotional wave. So that means you kind of have your own emotions, like you go through your own emotional wave and you can't feel others as much. And that's not to say if you have emotional authority that you're not an empath. You can still take in the world through other energy centers. So, so it's really specific to your chart what kind of, where you're kind of sensitive. But anyways, for emotional authority, people, since you have your own emotional wave, you don't want to make a decision on a high or a low. So if you make a decision on a high, you can say yes to too many things. If you make a decision on a low, you can say no to too many things. So you want to wait till you're kind of neutral in your emotional wave, so neither up or down, nor down. So waiting is important for emotional authorities. So not being pressured to kind of give someone an answer right away or respond right away. Really, we say that there's no truth in the moment, so you want to buy yourself some time, especially if you're feeling, either up or down. You want to wait till you're really in that neutral space. So, ask for time to consider things, ask for time to sleep on it. Hi, thank you for joining. We're talking about emotional authority right now. So yeah, and once you're in like the neutral kind of cool, calm, collected state, then you can check in with whatever else is going on in your chart. So if you have a defined sacral, once you're in that neutral space, you can check in with your sacral, which we'll talk about next. Or if you have your spleen defined, then you go, check in with your spleen. Or it could be that you are just emotional authority and have nothing else defined. So then it's really based on how something makes you feel. And obviously there are other things that will contribute to your intuition in your chart, like your dominant sense. So for example, for me, my dominant sense is smell. So that's kind of where my intuition lives as well. I'm sacral authority, but I also have a dominant sense of smell. So that's kind of like my smell is my intuitive sense. So that's to say that there are other things in the chart that can inform you a little bit more about your specific flavor of intuition. But anyway, getting back to emotional authority, basically it's about accepting the beauty of the highs and the lows, and not judging them, and being kind of an objective observer of your emotions. And also there are different types of emotional waves, which I go into in my readings as well. So there's like spontaneous highs and lows, or a build-up emotional wave that builds and then releases, or a subtle one that's kind of more gentle, and you might not even feel like you have emotional authority. So it's all about like not judging where you are in the wave, just accepting, not having to rationalize and explain why you're feeling the way you're feeling as an emotional authority. You just, that's where you are in your wave, and yeah. I should explain why I'm wearing the tiara, so, and red, before we move on to the next few authorities. So today I wasn't feeling I was feeling really kind of frustrated and annoyed and irritated. So, it's like, when you're not feeling like a queen, you have to adorn yourself like a queen. Plus it's Venus Day, so Friday, and it's all about beauty and romance, and yeah, so hence wanted to explain that part. So if you're not emotional authority, if you're any other type of authority or no inner authority, you are what's called an open emotional. So what that means is that you amplify the emotions of others. It means that you have an undefined emotional center, so you're kind of taking in the emotions of others and amplifying on them. So I'm sacral authority, which means I'm open emotional. So, if someone, and I can feel the emotions of others, but more strongly than they do. So it's like, if I was with another person, they can feel something like a low level of, annoyance, but I would feel it like, really much more strongly than them. So that's really also important going into the next authorities, because, you don't want to over-identify with your emotions. And because we're amplifying, open emotionals are amplifying, we will feel more out of control emotionally than other people, actually, because we're amplifying and making those emotions stronger. So, but usually when we're by ourselves and kind of nothing emotional is going on, we're very cool, calm, and collected. So knowing that we can always come back to that space, and our natural state is kind of neutral, cool, calm, and collected. That's our center, and we can always come back to that center. I like to do kind of, either imagine like a vacuum, vacuuming up things from my aura, so that, I'm releasing all the stuff that's not mine, or just spending some time by myself. I'm also, the environment I thrive in my design, are caves. The environments that I thrive in, not literal caves, but just wherever I can be kind of alone, or I can have like an influence over how many people there are, or which people there are around me. So anyway, so that's another part of human design. It can tell you about the environments you thrive in. So for me, it's like retreating back into my cave and kind of regaining my center before I kind of interact with others is important. And if you have two open emotional people, you can kind of keep amplifying between the two of you whatever you picked up from the world. So you have to just make sure that you both come back to that neutral space before you come together, so you're not kind of ping-ponging and making the stuff you picked up stronger. So alright, so that's a little bit about open emotionals. And next we move on to so basically, as I said, all the other authorities except for emotional are open emotional, so they'll all be amplifying. So the next is sacral authority, which I have, so I'm getting better every day at living that. So the sacral, as I said, is all about excitement, desire, creativity, and it's about the gut response. And the gut response speaks in the moment. It doesn't know how it's going to feel in the future. So you want to be present in order to feel it, and it doesn't have to make sense. Actually, it's better if it doesn't make sense, because then you know that it's not coming from the analytical mind. So, and the sacral authority responds to yes or no questions. So you don't want to ask your sacral, what do I want to do with my life? Or even, what do I want to eat? You want to give it options. So with the eating example, do I want to have eggs for breakfast? Yes or no? And the sacral will get excited about with one of the options that you give it. So letting other people know, if you're sacral authority, to give you options, that's really important. So again, and listening, it's, and each sacral response can feel different too. So maybe it's like an expansive feeling in the body, or you sit up straighter in your chair, or you just feel a pull towards something. So that's a little bit about sacral authority. So obviously, if you were emotional authority and had the sacral defined, once you were in that neutral space, then you would check in with your sacral. So anyway, let me know if that makes sense. Let me just check if there are any. I don't see any questions or comments, so I'll keep going. Okay, so the next one in the hierarchy is splenic authority. So the spleen is all about survival instinct. That's where kind of, instinct lives, but also like fears and anxieties. So if you have the spleen defined, or your splenic authority, hi Rebecca, thank you for joining. So the spleen is kind of even quicker than the sacral. So it's kind of like quick, intuitive hits. It speaks once, so you kind of have to be very present to catch it. It's very subtle. So you want to pay attention, write down what the spleen is telling you, and it's kind of like out of nowhere, like a sixth sense, kind of that survival instinct of what you should do. And also, decisions for splenic authority need to be made in the moment, because if you wait, the splenic response might change. So the spleen is all about choosing what is like correct and will for you and will ensure your survival. So again, I want to give my example. So I'm sacral authority, but I also have a defined spleen. So the spleen will also talk to me, but obviously my sacral has the last say. But it's good to, so authority is all about making the right decisions for yourself. But if I get a splenic hit about what someone else should do, then I can just give it to them, because it's not about me. So authority is all about making decisions for yourself. But I can give my, my intuitive hits to other people if they're about them. Okay, so we covered emotional authority. And then we started covering, we covered sacral and splenic. And the next one is ego authority. So the ego is the heart center in human design, in the human design system. So ego authority is all about whether you selfishly want it or not. And ego in human design is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just, it's kind of about like, this is what I want, and it's like, is this gonna help me be more me? Is this gonna help me be more in my power? And does this make me feel like I'm in my power? So that's the ego authority, whether, what you selfishly want. And that's okay for some people to, and that's right for some people to make decisions with their heart center or their ego. So the ego is where like the motivation and willpower lives as well in human design. So the next one in the hierarchy is G-center authority. And this one is projectors only, I should say. So the previous ones, I should mention, so if you have the sacral defined, you're always either a generator or a manifesting generator. Splenic can be manifestors or projectors, and as well as ego authority can be manifestors or projectors, reflectors have a different authority, so we'll talk about that later, because they're the unicorns. But so the next one in the hierarchy after sacral, splenic, and ego is the G center. The G center is kind of the diamond in the middle. It's yellow. So this one is projectors only, because I won't go into why, but it's projectors only. So so in the G center authority, it's like clarity comes as you share your thoughts with others. So clarity comes when you formulate the thoughts, which are kind of like this, into sentences which are more linear. So it's like you wanna be sharing with other people, when you need to make a decision. You want to share your thoughts with others, formulate them into sentences. And it's not because of what the other person will tell you. You actually don't need them to say anything. It's just you'll gain clarity as you're speaking, as you're hearing yourself organize thoughts into words. So talking things out is really important for G-center projectors. So the next authority is also only projectors. It's mental authority, which means you are basically below the throat, you don't have anything defined. So mental authority is all about your opinions, your point of view, your thoughts, your judgments, and it's kind of like the most logical out of all of the authorities. It's kind of like how we were all taught to make decisions, but it's only right for this type of projector, and they're pretty rare. So it's all about observing the world around you, kind of mining for clues, you know, and even though this is like the logical way to make decisions, you still want to watch out for shoulds. All of the authorities need to watch out for shoulds and any, you know, any analysis that's coming from the mind. So it's really, except for mental authority, it's all about being present in the body. So for mental authority, you want to lead with your kind of point of view and the way you see the world, and, you know, and observing, and that's when clarity comes. And so the last type, flavor of intuition I want to talk about, the last authority, is no inner authority. So this is reflectors only, because reflectors, as we mentioned yesterday, don't have any defined centers, so they're all white. And basically no inner authority means that you have to allow the world to give you the answer over the next 28 days. So you have to wait a lunar cycle, which is the strategy for reflectors, which we talked about yesterday. So it's like each 28-day cycle for a reflector is a mini lifetime. And obviously this is only for big decisions. This is not for like, what am I going to eat for breakfast? Because you'd starve if you waited that long. So for reflectors, it's a bit different. They're lunar beings, they're unicorns, they operate very differently, but basically clarity comes to them, you know, each new moon to the next new moon. So these are, this is a little bit about the authorities. Obviously, as I said, there are many other things in your chart, like your dominant sense. In my case, it's smell. And there are different ones. There's inner vision, there's outer vision, there's taste, feeling, etc. And you also, in your gates and channels, you can determine what specific, you know, what you have an intuition for, or like a nose for, specifically. So there's more. This is a very, like, you know, basic overview of authorities. So I quickly wanted to just do a meditation, because it's not really a meditation, it's more just becoming present in your body, because that's what, you know, making decisions is in human design. So we're just gonna close our eyes and become present in the body, and just take a few long, deep breaths. Breathing, filling up the belly, the ribs, and the chest. And exhaling, chest, ribs, and pulling in the navel towards the spine. And just becoming present, occupying your body, feeling your skin, feeling the temperature in the room, temperature of the air, and just focusing on being present in your body here and now, feeling the ground beneath us, gravity pulling us towards the earth. And now check in with whatever authority you have. Are you tuning into the body and making decisions by listening to the body, or are you letting your mind tell you what you should do, and, you know, let your mind try to figure out what the best outcome is? And just listen to what your body tells you, how you can listen to it more when you're making decisions. Are you listening listening to your shoulds when making decisions. And now we'll go through each authority. So if you're emotional authority, are you waiting to feel neutral before making a decision? Are you giving yourself time? Are you asking for time from other people? Are you letting yourself move through your emotional wave before responding? And next is the sacral authority. So if you're sacral authority, are you waiting for that excitement, that expansive feeling in your body? And are you saying no to the things that are not exciting to you, that, you don't feel like anything? Are you allowing yourself to listen to that desire? And next, if you have splenic authority, are you allowing yourself to be present and listen to your instinct, your survival instinct? Are you catching your intuitive hits? Are you noting them? Are you practicing listening to your spleen? And if you are an ego authority, are you allowing yourself to really selfishly determine whether you want something or not? Is it okay for you to want things just because you want them? And next, for G-center authority, are you allowing yourself to speak things and share your thoughts with others as you're trying to make decisions? Are you allowing your clarity to come through that process of talking things out? And if you're mental authority, are you allowing yourself to step back and observe things from your point of view? And if you have no inner authority, are you allowing yourself to wait a lunar cycle, 28 days, to make big decisions in your life? And just, again, becoming present in your body, thanking your body for all the wisdom that it has for you and it's provided for you, and forgiving yourself for the times when you didn't listen to your body, even though it was telling you what you needed to do. So letting go of the past and really committing to being present in your body and listening to what your body is telling you. And again, thanking your body for all the wisdom it has shared. You can gently open your eyes. Thank you for joining me for that. That was really magical. And yeah, definitely if you have any questions about authority, and each authority can, again, as I said yesterday with all the energy types, each energy type has wisdom for us and has a lesson for us. So really we learn something by learning about all of them, and knowing that each of us is supposed to make decisions in such a different way. Yes, 70% of the world will have the sacral defined, but even with that, some might have emotional authority. So just knowing that, thank you, Rebecca, thank you for being here and supporting energetically. So basically, what was I talking about? Yeah, so each of us is supposed to make decisions in a very different way, and that releases judgment of other people, and even with the open emotional dynamic, that helps us to release more judgment, because we know that some people have their own emotional wave and other people are amplifying what they pick up, and that's okay. And wherever you are emotionally, not to judge that. and let it be okay, not having to rationalize it, and kind of rule your life in a way. So, and knowing that, you know, emotions are really information. You know, for the open emotionals, they're information about, you know, what's going on around you. And for emotional people, it's, you know, where you are in your emotional wave. So anyway, leave me any questions in the comments. Invite your friends for day 3 tomorrow. Tomorrow we're talking about profile, which is all about how you learn. So I'll be talking about each of the numbers that in the profile. I'm a 3-5, and we'll meet at the same time, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. And yeah, thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.